Alright, today we are going to learn chapter 7 Tribes, Nomads, and Settled Communities. I'm going to explain in English and I want you to listen carefully. In previous chapters, we saw how kingdom rose and fell. Even this was happening. New arts, craft, and production activities flourished in town and villages. Over the centuries, important political, social, and economic development had taken place, but social change was not the same. Now let's find out who were tribal people. Historians give very scanty information about tribes because tribal people did not keep written records, but they preserved rich customs and oral traditions, and these were passed down to each new generation. So, from their oral tradition, historians have started using it to write tribal histories. Some powerful tribes control large territories, and in Punjab, Khokar tribe was very influential during the 13th and 14th centuries, and later Gakhar became more important. Their chief Kamal Khan Garkha was made a noble by Emperor Akbar, and many other tribes were in India and the distant northeastern part of the subcontinent too was entirely dominated by tribes, the Nagas and the Mizos and many others. And we will not go in detail about the different tribals. It's all written in your book. You can see from your textbook. So let's move on to the nomads and mobile people lived. Nomadic pastoralists moved over long distance with their animals. Nomads means people who used to move from one place to another place for in search of foods and their livelihoods. And when they moved, they used to boat and sold their goods as they moved from one place to another, transporting them on their animals. The Banjaras were the most important trader nomads. Their caravan was called Tanda. Okay, and let's see how changing society happened. New caste and hierarchies. As the economy and the needs of society grew, people with new skills were required. Smaller caste jatis emerged within the varnas, and specialized artisans, smith carpenters, and masons were recognized as separate jatis by the brahmanas. And let's look on to the Gonds. The Gonds live in a vast forest region called Gondwana, and they practice shifting cultivation. And the Mizos also used to practice shifting cultivation. And what is shifting cultivation? Let's find out. Trees and bushes in the forest area are first cut and burned. The crop is sown in the ashes. When this land loses its fertility, another plot of land is cleared and planted in the same way. That means when they plant their crops in the place, and after that, when the when the when the plant lose its fertility, they used to move from one place to another. That is known as shifting cultivation. And the Ahoms migrated to Brahmaputra Valley from the present-day Myanmar in the 13th century. And these Ahoms adults served in the army during war. At other times, they were engaged in building dams, irrigation system, and other public works. Ahom society was divided into clans or khels. They were very few caste artisans, so artisans in the Ahom areas came from the adjoining kingdoms. Originally, the Ahoms worshipped their own tribal gods. During the first half of the 17th century, the influence of Brahmanas increased. And lastly, the Mizos. The Mizos are the ethnic community native to the southern part of the northeast India. The ancestors of the Mizo entered their present settlement from Myanmar at different times of periods. So our ancestors enter this Mizoram from Myanmar. And they enter Mizoram between 14,000 to 17,000 AD, and they set up village on top of various hills and ranges. And each chief exercised full authority in his village administration and was assisted by Khonbol Upa. And they also receive many taxes, like as we call in Tia. Mizo chung chuan Tia kan ti chin kha. They used to receive fatang from every household, and satia, kwai tia, titia, and etc. And beside the Khonbol Upa, the subject consisted of Zalen, who were exempt from fatang. Zalen were exempt from fatang. They don't have to pay the tax. Tia. Okay, and the Ramhwal, who were privileged to choose Jum and Ramhwal land before others, but they had to pay double fatang in return. They can those Ramhwal are the people who can choose their place, but they have to pay the double tax. And Thirdeng, Puitiam, and Tlanga were also exempt from fatang. The rest were Namchom, who were from the bulk of the subject. One institution that sustained the Mizo culture and the way of life was the Zolbuk system. As we all know that Zolbuk is very important in our history. So Zolbuk was the largest building in the village. All the unmarried young men of the village slept and spent their nightlife here. The prominent older grown-up Val Upa taught and disciplined the younger generation on the ethical, customary, and social behavior at Zolbuk. The younger boys, about 12 to 15 years of the age, had to collect firewood for use in the Zolbuk every day. Any defaulter was punished by doubling his quota of firewood by the next day. Disciplinary punishment to the young men could not be challenged by the parents. Zolbuk was the center of assistance in all kinds of emergency. Okay, I want you. That's all.